I get hundreds of DMs every single day, whether it's on IG, whether it's on Twitter, of people inquiring about stuff, business opportunities, ventures, funding, just wanting to talk, meeting up. So many DMs. And I only have a small fraction of the followers that most people do, especially knowing that there's massively prominent entrepreneurs or people that you might want to get into the room with that have a big wall of noise every single day that you have to get through. That is everybody else. So how do you network with millionaires? How do you position yourself in a situation that millionaires want to hang out with you? Not that you're just there in the room. You don't want to be the guy that knows the guy, right? You don't want to be the guy that knows this person or, oh, your homies, or one day you went to a party and this person was there. No, if you can't ring somebody up and that person can wire you 100 racks without a signature, then they're not your homie, like they're not your people. How do you network with millionaires? How do you network with ultra successful individuals and put yourself in a situation where you can do that? Because it's possible, guys. It's extremely possible. That's how all these smart kids that come from Ivy League schools get funded in their startups. Do you think that funding comes from nowhere? No, it comes from people that trust these individuals. There's trust that's instilled. What's that trust? What's that process? An extremely important part to consider is the academic side, which, as much as I shit on university, if you have a Harvard degree, you have access to a plethora of alumni that'll give you access to a potential job a lot faster than if you weren't part of that university, because you have that common ground. I know I shit on university, but if you are in an Ivy League school, that is a big dub. Regardless of it being valuable or not, that alone I think will be ROI positive, right? So let's say I go to Harvard, I spend $200K, whether I learn something or not, I think I can maximize the word Harvard on my resume for more than $200K in my lifetime. So that's how I would evaluate that. Now, would I evaluate it over a 3-4 year lifespan commitment of giving up that time? No, but I could maximize it by networking, leveling up. The whole point is, you kind of have this side of the perspective. On the other side of the coin, if you want to network with millionaires and you don't have an environmental setup that kind of gives you a layup of prestige, you have to be able to provide value. Providing value in the marketplace is how you get paid. Providing value to an individual is how you build relationships. Because all business is a multiplication of what? The individual interaction. So people think that an unsuccessful business is the business that has one customer. But if I have a business, right, and it has one happy customer, I have a successful business. Why? Because I am transacting with that individual. You may call it a small business. You may say I'm a contractor, I'm a seller. No, but I'm in business. I am operating a business. I'm operating a transaction. All that a big business is that same thing happening at a macro scale. Make sense? So once you kind of zoom that out, you understand, okay, how would I get a job or how would I provide value to a company? And you would pitch the company based off of the company's perspective. Now just bring it down to its most basic common denominator. Instead of looking at the macro relationships, all the relationships happening at once under the name of this company and this logo, bring it down to the individual unit. I know this is a mind fuck. I know it's super good sauce. So hear me out. So break it down to the micro level, and the same thing you would do at a bigger level, like you would analyze the P&Ls of a company, you would analyze the strengths and weaknesses, the culture, the messaging, the executive board, the decision makers, the history of this company. You can do the exact same thing with an individual, right? You can reverse engineer a person's life to know who they are, what they like, what they're about, and to become presently aware of your interactions with them or what they say or how they move, to be able to understand the nature of who they are. That is how you build rapport. That is how you build credibility in relationships, is becoming aware of what a person is, who a person is, and actually giving a fuck. When you actually care about your customers, right, and that gets translated and transmuted into more customers because there's word of mouth of, hey, this is good business, right? All you're doing is you're leveraging a multiplication of that same relationship that you're having with an individual unit, but you're just multiplicating at a big level. And what you need to be able to do at a networking level is to break that down and have the same conversation that you would, but not to perceive it as an ROI kind of relationship, but to perceive it as, how can I serve this person? How can I be of value to this person? How can me being in this room with this person make this person's life better? That's the same conversation you should be having at the macro level in your company, right? You can be having that at a micro level in the networking space. I know nobody talks like this and nobody mentions these principles in this way, but you can start extrapolating a lot of things that are happening at a macro level into a micro level. I think that when I realized this, I was able to get into the room with people that were significantly wealthier, better off, more successful, better positioned than I was. That's how I got into the room with billionaires. That's how I got into the room and doing business with people worth hundreds of millions of dollars. And that's how I was able to sit down in rooms that have prestigious individuals that people would pay a lot of money to sit down with. You know, there's people that I've sat down with, had the pleasure of conversing, having a meal with, that will charge you $100,000 for a keynote. But because you position yourself and you provide value, not to the status or the name, but to the human, the individual, the person that is there. If you start seeing your business in that way, right? We call it humane. It's this idea of being conscientious. Then you're operating in a very good dynamic. Spot the needs that people have. If you guys see me on IG, on Twitter, if you guys are perspicacious and had the ability to perceive my needs, you would be able to reach out to me in a way, not, oh, hey, Luke, I'll work for you for free. Dude, do you think rich people need you to work for free? They can just hire the best talent. I've said this before, right? So doing stuff for free is not good enough. You have to be the best, right? You have to be the best. It's extremely important that you're the best. And not only that, it's that you provide a value that's tailored to them. And it's not just identifying a value, ladies and gentlemen, but it's also being able to create a value if you're not able to identify one. So Naval Ravikant often talks about the greatest way to make money is to give the world something that it yet not knows it needs. That's how you disturb a market. If you want to disturb a relationship and turn it on its head and really build something crazy, you must be able to do the exact same thing. It's extremely important. And once you understand that, you can introduce a new value proposition into the psyche of an individual that they may not be aware of because they don't know, then it becomes a very, very fun game. I'll give you an example. We were sitting with a buddy of ours, and he wanted to introduce us to a billionaire. We started conversing about money, whatever, it was nonchalant, conversations about business, conversations about, I think we were talking about shipping lines that were taking place in India and China, shipping routes, just boring business conversation. And, you know, as we were about to leave, it was nothing eventful. There was no, oh, hey, let's meet up again. But then we started talking about health. And then Nate was there, and we started talking about Mr. Belmar, for those that don't know him. And we started talking about biohacking and being able to increase lifespan longevity and the amount of years that you live. And that the billionaire's face just lit up, and he's like, bro, let's meet up tomorrow for dinner, and let's talk about lifespan longevity. Like, I'm super curious about this stuff. So we're able to identify what actually matters to this guy. He doesn't give a fuck about the money. He doesn't care about business, shipping, freight lines, all this stuff he has to deal with when he wakes up in the morning. The dude wants to figure out, how can I enjoy more years of my life with all the bullshit hard work that I've already put in to make all this money? How do I get to enjoy it more? Oh, well, this dude can tell me and show me how to increase my lifespan, or I'm curious enough to sit down and listen to this guy because clearly he may know what he's talking about because he's shredded or he's fit or he's flexible, right? Because on to the next video, perception is key, right? So the clues that you leave in the environment that you set up is extremely important for networking, but we'll get to perception is key on the next video. You need to be in a situation like we were in that you're a jack of all trades in a way that you can provide value to people and get into the room. So we set up dinner and now we're just talking, right? And now we talk on a regular basis. We communicate. We send workout videos. We've gotten together. We've worked out. We've had a couple meals. And that's how you build relationships, right? You build relationships when you can provide value. Not every relationship needs to be fucking transactional. Not every value point needs to be a business value point. And when you understand that, that's when things get really, really fun. That's when things become beyond business. And that's how I think you build a good business. And when I think relationship transcends just a contractual interaction, it can actually flourish into something that it's meant to be, something meaningful. So if you want to network with people, study them, evaluate them, analyze them like markets, be able to provide value in a spot that they're weak in, that you excel in, or create a value proposal to a problem that they may not yet know that they need, and solve that. That's how you get paid big bucks. And make sure that you treat at a macro level, right, the interactions that are taking place in business, be able to dissect that at a micro level to interact with the individual unit. This is how you begin to understand the ethos of people and what makes people tick. This is what gets you into the room with people that are brackets ahead of you. So now let's talk about how perception is key, because the question is, now if you can provide value and get into the room, what happens next?